I was going to talk to you a little bit too about. I'm sure during that process you probably gnawed over what gear you're going to bring into the show, and I've seen what you guys typically bring. Is there anything that you brought that you wish you hadn't or traded out?
I was pretty happy with everything that I took. The only thing that didn't really work out as well as I would have hoped was my gill net. And I think that, see, one of the things that people don't get that doesn't come across very well in the show is that you, even though they drop you off here out there and you have to like scrape a living from the landscape, hunting, fishing, trapping, foraging, all that stuff, you still got to follow the hunting, fishing regs.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
one of the regulations that they set for us is that they allowed us to use gill nets, but we couldn't set them out until like day 40 or something like that. And in hindsight, I'm pretty confident that the only reason they let us set gill nets after day 40 is because that they knew the fish were going to dive off into deep water and nobody was going to catch anything.
Mm,
So
yeah, it's wasted a bunch
I
of
took,
time.
yeah, I took paracord. I took one of the items that you could take was 80 meters of paracord. So I took that um, because I was planning on making a gill net out of it. And I did that. And then I used the sheath of the paracord. So I used the interior cores to make the gill
Mm-hmm.
net. And then I made the sheath to rig up like almost like a clothesline system to take that thing out into the water and bring it back. Um, I don't know if I would have to think about it, whether I would replace that with something else or if I would just figure out a different way to set that gill net down deeper where it might be more effective. I don't know.
Yeah. So this kind of leads me in by my next question. I always wondered about this. Like when you got dropped off on the island, what was your like number one priority when you got there? Was it like making shelter, or were you kind of worried about food? Um, I don't know if you could speak on that a little bit.
So just to clarify it, the Chilco is a lake,
Yeah.
not an island.
I'm sorry, Choco Lake. Yeah.
um, but my priority, so when they dropped me off, I basically just grabbed a camera, strung up my bow, and started walking. And I wanted to, like the whole first week I was there, I never started on a shelter. I just strung up a tarp basically and lived under a tarp for that week. But I wanted to explore my land. I wanted to make sure that I knew my land so that I could set up my permanent camp in the best possible place. That had good access to whatever resources, a good fishing hole, water, um, decent small game hunting and trapping. I wanted to make sure that I wasn't right smack in the middle of the best big game hunting area on my place. And I walked around for a week, and as it turned out, the best place for a camp on my whole site was right exactly where they dropped me. But like I said, I didn't know that at the time. I didn't know that until I walked around and scouted the area.
One
Yeah.
thing I noticed on the show was that everybody's really crafty. Like they're making signs with naming their shelter and being funny a lot and stuff. And it almost seemed a little bit like it was pushed on everybody. Is that something that's kind of pushed on? Because I would think that if it were me and I was there, my focus would be on everything I expend energy on would be to gain calories or something like that.
Yeah, no, it's there's nothing that's pushed on you like that, but so when you first get there, there's things that have to be done. You got to explore your site. You've got to figure out what resources you have, what food resources you have, where your fishing spot is. You need to get a shelter done and all that stuff. But there comes like a tipping point almost when you start to accomplish all of those necessities up front, and then you get into this period when you've got some idle time to kill. And for me, the later it went, like I had more and more idle time, and that there's a lot of calorie expenditure that gets factored into that. Like I got to a point where I realized I couldn't be as active as I wanted to be because I was burning through calories too fast. And so I kind of forced myself to be inactive. And so you've got a lot of time to occupy. And if you watch my season there towards the end, I can't remember what episode it is. I carved my boys like some little bushcraft airplane, like bush planes that are pretty cool. I got little propellers that spin and everything. I even made a dovetail freaking box out there with a inset bottom because I was looking for things to fill my time. But towards the end there, I mean, we were talking about, 7-8 hours of daylight and then really long nights. And then the weather's turning crappy. And so you've got there were times when I would be in my shelter for, I might come out for an hour a day for like 3 days in a row just to check my snares or something because the weather was so crappy. So yeah, you got a lot of time to kill.
Yeah. It'd be hard not to go nuts in there.